Level 1, the forgetful tourist. You forgot to declare a duffel bag, and in 9 years you'll have a permanent seat on the federal watchlist, a code name and 3 governments pretending they never printed your name. You're 34 and broke. You know your chime balance to the decimal, and it's embarrassing. You're not crying in the Miami customs line, exactly. You're doing the man version, blinking, blaming the AC, because you just left your 6-year-old at a chain link fence like you were the one headed to prison. At the gate, your Uncle Beto Crocs, socks, members-only jacket in 90-degree heat hands you a duffel. Cigars for my cousin in Elizabeth, rums for the road, hermano. You didn't look inside. You never look inside. The dog looks inside. The beagle sits and won't move. Officer Marcus Men's warehouse suit, Skechers unzips it. 40 fake Rolex submariners that tick instead of glide. A brick of cash. 1 bottle of Siat Mare's rum. Marcus slides your receipt back across the steel. Everybody forgets, he says. You're just the first one who's going to pay full price for it. He can't prove you knew. He knocks it to a fine. You walk out $2,000 richer 6 weeks of warehouse shifts for carrying a bag through a door. And that man is going to lose the best 9 years of his life. Because of you. The only reason you don't quit is the photo in your wallet. That photo is why this ends the way it does. Level 2, the customs suspect. You tell yourself it's one more time. It's a Thursday, and you're back in the arrivals hall at Miami with a bag you did look inside this time, which is how you know you're no longer a forgetful tourist. You're something with a plan. The plan is small and stupid and it works, and that's the problem. The cousin in Elizabeth, New Jersey wanted 40 more watches. You said yes before you finished the sentence, because 40 watches is another $2,000. And $2,000 is a chunk of the retainer the immigration lawyer wants before she'll even look at your wife Marisol's file. Keep the reason in your head. The lawyer, a woman in an Ann Taylor blazer who charges $400 an hour to say, it's complicated, wants 14 months and $11,000 to fix a mistake a clerk made in 90 seconds. You do all your math now in trips. By the 4th trip, you understand Miami International better than the people who work there. You learn the SSSS printed on your boarding pass, 4 little letters that mean you get pulled every single time. You learn that the TSA line by the Auntie Anne's moves fastest at 6 a.m. and the one by the Cinnabon dies after the Atlanta flight lands. You learn that the afternoon beagle is fat and bored and sits down for a public sub, not contraband. This should terrify you. Instead, it's the first thing you've ever been genuinely good at, including your day job driving a forklift at a Cisco warehouse in Medley. Then you invent the trick. You start declaring something. Something real, something dumb, something a little embarrassing, a vacuum-sealed bag of Tio Beto's dried fish, 6 pounds of it, aggressively over the limit and smelling like a war crime. You slide it onto the counter like a confession, and the officer's whole afternoon becomes the fish. They lecture you about the fish. They photograph the fish. They make you throw out the fish. And they wave the real bag through, because a man dumb enough to declare the fish couldn't possibly be smart enough to hide anything else. It works the first time. It works the 3rd time. You almost laugh in the terminal. You don't laugh, because Marcus is there. He's not on the dog anymore. He requested the arrivals detail. You'll learn later that he asked to be here, that he picked you. He's at the end of the lane in that same men's warehouse suit, not looking at your bag. He's looking at your face, like a guy you're sure you went to high school with. There's no confused tourist to play now. You both know exactly what you are. And the worst part is, he lets you walk again because knowing and proving are 2 different countries, and he doesn't have your passport to the second one. Yet! Somewhere behind him is a manila folder with your legal name typed on the little tab. You don't see it. But it's getting thicker, and one day that tab won't say your name at all. It'll say a code name, and 3 governments will swear they never issued it. You clear customs clean. You feel like a genius for 1 warm second, like a man who's going to win. Then you catch Marcus in the reflection of the glass doors, lifting his phone, taking a picture of the one thing you carry every single trip for luck. The bottle of Siat Mare's rum. You just stopped being a suspect he forgets. You became a pattern. Level 3, the person of interest. The airport dies for you on a Monday. You walk up to the counter with your fish and your plan and your lucky rum. And before you can start the confession, the agent's screen turns a color you've never seen it turn. She doesn't even look up. Sir, step over here. 2 hours in a room with a chair bolted to the floor and a poster about human trafficking staring at you. They find nothing you're clean this time. They let you go. But a friend who works airport dispatch tells you what the color meant. Person of interest. Interagency flag. The sky is closed. You can never fly clean again, which means you learn the ground. You learn the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel like it's your own hallway. You learn which back roads in upstate New York the cameras haven't found yet. And here's the thing nobody warns you about. The ground is where the real work is, because the ground is full of people exactly like you, because you stop moving watches. You start moving families. There's a mother in Windsor with a daughter Lucia's age and $11,000 of paperwork between her and a legal life. There's a father in Sarnia who hasn't held his son in 3 years because a stamp expired on a Tuesday. They can't move the documents themselves, they're flagged, watched, scared. But you're good at scared. You become the guy who gets things across. Not drugs, not guns, birth certificates, bank drafts, a teddy bear from a Toledo Kmart with a flash drive sewn in its belly. You tell yourself you're not a criminal. You're a lost and found for other dads. The convoy is your masterpiece. 3 cars, staggered 4 minutes apart. The first is loud and dumb on purpose, a Dodge Charger with expired tabs and a busted taillight so the officers pull it and pour in like ants at a barbecue. The second car is nothing. The third, the one that matters, is a gold 2004 Honda Odyssey with a baby on board sticker and juice boxes in the cup holders. And it rolls through in the 90 seconds the supervisor steps out back for a Marlboro. He smokes at 210. You move at 211. It works so clean you sit in the lot and shake. Then Marcus is standing at your window. He tailed you the whole way. He had you. And then he saw who was in the Odyssey, the mother. The little girl asleep against the door with her light-up sketches kicked off, and something went wrong in his face. He doesn't reach for the door. He looks at the kid, then at the wallet photo wedged in your dash vents. Marisol and Lucia squinting in island sun. You keep helping people cross, he says quiet. That's the part I can't forgive, and it's the part I can't stop respecting. He lets the car go. He hates that he lets the car go. That night, in a federal building 3 states away, Marcus stands in front of a corkboard with your face in the center and tells his boss the sentence that decides everything. This guy doesn't get a mugshot. Guys like this you don't catch. You watch them get promoted. He ends up on a list nobody graduates from. You don't hear him say it. You're driving home to a 1-bedroom in Hialeah with 1 plate, 1 fork, and a family-sized box of Hot Pockets because grief shops at Costco. You just reunited a family. It wasn't yours. Then your phone rings. A courier got stopped in Buffalo, and he's talking. Level 4, the repeat offender. The courier in Buffalo gives them a name. Not your real one, a working name off your 3rd best driver's license. A Michigan ID that says you're a 41-year-old organ donor named Dale, but it's enough. 2 weeks later, a warrant exists with a version of your face on it, and you stop being a person of interest. Now, you're a repeat offender. There's a case number, a prosecutor who's never met you and already wants 2 years of your life. So you do the only thing a scared man who's good at scared does. You get better. You build a crew. 4 people you trust, which is 3 more than is smart. You find a cousin with a check-cashing spot in North Miami, a place called Cash King, with a lion airbrushed on the wall wearing a crown and, for reasons nobody can explain, sunglasses and turn it into a laundry. Small deposits, structured under the reporting line, cash out the back neat as folded shirts. And somewhere in a federal building, an analyst reads your file and types the word that changes how everyone treats you. Sophisticated. You are not sophisticated. You are a forklift driver in New Balance 990s who panics well and got lucky 9 times in a row. But you let them believe it, because a legend is easier to fear than a guy, and fear buys you room. Then comes the score that's supposed to end it. 1 run. Big, clean, worth more than every trip you've ever made stacked together enough, finally. To pay the lawyer in full, the fine in full, and the bond that puts Marisol and Lucia on a plane the legal way, forever. You plan it for a month. You run it in a night. And when it's done and the money is real, sitting in a Nike duffel on a Motel 6 bedspread, you call the lawyer at midnight, and she says the 2 words you've been buying for 2 years. Bring them home. You lie back on the comforter, the scratchy kind that has seen things, and for the first time since the beagle sat down, you believe it's over. It's over for about 6 hours. At 6 a.m., Marcus raids Cash King. He's not a customs officer now he transferred, clawed onto a federal task force. Built half of it around you specifically, and he comes through the door with a warrant and 11 agents while you're in the stockroom counting the last of it. You go out the back through a gap in the fence you'd walked exactly once, 3 weeks ago, just in case. You make it by 90 seconds. You leave the Nike duffel. You keep most of the money. You leave the rum. Later you'll see the photo. Marcus at the counter, holding your bottle of C8 Mares up to the light like a fingerprint, like the last piece of something he finally gets. He keeps it. It sits on his desk for 9 years, still full, and every agent who asks gets the same answer. He finally had enough to bring his family home, Marcus says. So of course, that's the day he ran. That's how I knew it was never about the money. Because here's the trap, the one you don't feel close until the door clicks. The warrant means you can't surrender to bring them home. You'd get arrested at the airport, the courthouse, the fence. You had the money. You had the plan. You had, for 6 hours, a way out. And the second you run instead of pay, you become a man who can never, ever stop running. You had everything you needed to go home. And you ran the other way. Level 5, the federal fugitive. Nobody tells you what it feels like to become a fugitive. It feels like paperwork in reverse. Every document that used to prove you exist becomes a thing that can kill you. You live under 3 names in 3 Velcro wallets: Dale from Michigan, Ruben from Tampa, and a third guy you honestly don't love. A storage unit in Toledo you visit at 4 a.m. Track phones from Dollar General, 4 at a time. The U.S. Marshals are on it now, which your dispatch friend, still loyal because you got his brother across, once calls a promotion. The FBI catches you, the marshals find you, and those guys don't lose people. You write it down like advice. You cannot go to an airport, a courthouse, a hospital, and you cannot go to Lucia's 8th birthday. You watch it on a track phone propped against the rum bottle in a Cracker Barrel lot outside Knoxville, eating the complimentary mints because dinner is a decision now. Marisol holds the camera. Lucia has a gap where a tooth used to be, a cake shaped like a dolphin, light-up sketches, and she leans into the screen. "When are you coming, Pappy?" You say, "Soon, Misha." It's the worst lie you've ever told, and lying is the one thing on your resume. You buy the minutes back the only way you can with risk. Marisol makes you do it. When you say it's too dangerous that you should vanish for good and let them forget you, she refuses. A daughter needs to touch her father at least once, she says. So she knows he was a real man and not a story her mother tells. So you spend 3 weeks and most of your cash on 30 minutes on a public beach on the island a Sunday. A Marlin's cap, Oakley's, a spotter on the boardwalk with a bad feeling. You go by boat, by favor, by a route that costs a year off your nerves. And for 22 minutes you hold your daughter in the actual sun. She smells like coconut and somebody else's SPF 50. She tells you a story about a fish that has no ending and is the best thing you've ever heard. At minute 22, the spotter's burner buzzes twice. You stand up mid-sentence. You do not finish the sentence. You walk into the water and around the point, and you don't look back, because if you look back, you won't leave. And if you don't leave, she loses her father to a cell instead of a rumor. 22 minutes. You'll pay for them the rest of your life, and you'd pay double. Marcus, meanwhile, is becoming you. He turns down the promotion that would take him off your case. His wife gives him an ultimatum, the marriage or the ghost, and he picks the ghost and tells himself it's temporary the same way you did. One morning at a safe house you're about to burn, you find a Hallmark card in the mailbox, a cartoon dog on the front. No signature. Inside, one line. "I know where you sleep." It's not a threat. It's a man telling another man that neither of them has a home anymore. You should be terrified. Instead, you laugh in an empty kitchen. It's the only joke either of you has left. That's the month your name stops being a name. The analysts tire of typing 3 aliases and give you a handle. A single word in a box, easier to track than a man. But once a man becomes a word, the machine stops trying to arrest him and starts trying to contain him. What you know is a meat goes bad in Cleveland. And you're doing 90 on I-90 with 2 Marshall sedans behind you and a state line coming up fast. Cross that line, and the whole country becomes the hunt. Level 6, the interstate target. You cross the state line at 91 miles an hour, lose them on an exit ramp with no cameras, and by sunup you understand you've been promoted again. You're not a county's problem anymore. You're an interstate target. 6 states share a corkboard now, and dead center is a single word in a box where your name used to be. The map of places you can never stand shrinks to the size of a Waffle House menu. You move only at night, only by car, only through towns too small to have what your dispatch friend calls a fusion center, a room where cops from every agency share the one thing they're all looking for, which is you. You've gotten good at a life nobody should be good at, and you've eaten at every Buc-ee's between Ocala and Amarillo, which is its own kind of prison. And then, without asking for it, you become famous. Not famous like a movie star, famous like a rumor. Separated families whisper the code name to each other like a prayer. There's a guy. They say, who gets people across? Who never takes from the mothers? Who charges the cartels triple and cries at Coco? Half of it isn't even true. There's a guy in Yuma who keeps insisting the codename is him flattering if it weren't so useful. Let them think you're everywhere. A man who's everywhere is nowhere. You are famous now to everyone in America, except the one person who matters, a 10-year-old on an island who doesn't know her dad is a legend, only that he stopped calling and thinks it's because she did something. The wedding is your best work and your worst idea. The task force thinks you're crossing west because you spent 2 days selling it a burned phone, a fake Expedia booking, a decoy Dodge pointed at Nevada like an arrow. While they flood the western crossing, you go east, inside a rented party bus full of 40 strangers in matching lavender, doing fireball shots on their way to a wedding. They never learn there's a federal target in the back matching them shot for shot to keep his hands still. You cross the line singing a Pitbull song you don't know the words to. It works so well it's almost rude. You're still smiling at the LA Quinta when Marcus steps out of the breezeway. Clear shot, 10 feet. His hand's on his weapon and it stays there, it does not come up. You freeze. He freezes. For 90 seconds, neither of you is a hunter or a target. You're just two exhausted men in a hallway that smells like pool chlorine and free waffles. He looks past you at the photo on your dash through the windshield. His jaw works. I could end it right here, he says. But then I'd never know if I've been chasing the worst man I ever met or the best one. Then he lets you back away into the dark. Next morning, he tells his superior what he's decided about you. The sentence that seals your final promotion. He's past most wanted. This one's headed for the list nobody graduates from. Start the paperwork. That's the week you stop carrying the rum. The bottle's too hot, too known it's the one thread tying every scene together, and Marcus taught the whole task force to look for it. So you leave it behind, and your luck immediately feels wrong without it, which is how you know you were never as smart as the report said. You were just a superstitious man in New Balance who got away with it. A gas station camera in Kentucky catches your face at 3 a.m., clean, unmistakable. By Friday, you're one of 10 faces on a poster in every post office in America. Level 7, the most wanted fugitive. Being on the 10 most wanted is not exciting. It's a math problem where you're the number. There's a bounty now, 6 figures, the kind that turns your own face into money in a stranger's eyes. Overnight, the hunters multiply. Bounty hunters and Oakley wraparounds, tipsters. A true crime podcast called Follow the Rum that runs a mattress ad in the middle of describing your childhood, which your dispatch friend plays until you beg him to stop. Everyone in America is running the same calculation now, and the comedy goes quiet because you feel it in the way strangers' eyes catch and hold a beat too long at the pilot. The thing that breaks isn't a lock or a plan. It's a person. His name doesn't matter now, but he was your best courier, the loyal one, the one who kept a bottle of Sayat Mares in his glove box for luck because he'd seen you do it. He's got his own family across his own border, his own $11,000 of paperwork. It's always $11,000, give or take, because that's just what a family costs in this country, his own daughter asking when. And the bounty on your head is more than he'll clear in a decade. You watch the math you taught him land in his face across a Denny's booth, somewhere between the moons over my hammy and the check. You don't get angry. Anger is for people who have time. You give him a meat that isn't real. A warehouse, a Tuesday, 9 p.m., a lie shaped exactly like the truth. Then you sit in a Camry across the street and watch the task force pour into an empty building, 11 of them. Then 20, then Marcus, slower than the rest, and you understand, with total clarity, exactly who sold you and exactly what you're worth. You survive the night without raising your voice, without even starting the car until they're inside. You win, and you lose the last person on earth you trusted. That's the trade at this level. Every clever thing you do costs you a person instead of $1. You are running out of people. Marcus is at that warehouse. And for 1 second, the crowd shifts and you're 40 feet apart in a lot full of flashing blue. He clocks you. You clock him. Neither of you moves. His wedding ring has gone a pale stripe where it used to be. His hands aren't steady. He looks worse than you, and you're the one sleeping in a Camry. The hunter and the hunted have arrived at the same exhausted place from opposite directions, and you watch him realize it the same instant you do. He doesn't shout. He doesn't point. He just says it low, meant for himself more than for you. Everyone wants me to catch a monster, and I keep finding a father. God help me, I think that's why I can't stop. Then the crowd closes and you're gone. You find out later the courier left his lucky bottle at the fake meat. Set it on a crate, Full, like an apology to a man who wasn't coming. You never see it, but you understand it. Because you left the same bottle on the same kind of counter once, and it meant the same thing. I'm sorry. I had a family too. Somewhere in Washington, a form moves up a chain. Your codename gets submitted for a list above most wanted for people the government can't catch, only contain ghosts they track forever and never touch. The paperwork of becoming permanent has begun, and the heat in America is total. There's no square foot of this country you can stand on, so you do the thing the border started years ago. You leave. The wrong way. Further from your daughter than you have ever been. Level 8, the international target. You settle in a port town in Montenegro called Bar, a town literally named Bar. After 9 years, you appreciate a place that tells you what it is. Interpol issues a red notice, which your dispatch friend tells you is the international version of the poster. You're not an interstate target now. You're a global one. And the hollow joke is that the moment you become the most wanted man in the world, you also become the most comfortable you've been in years. Nobody in Bar is looking. You have money, a network, forgers 3 countries wide who quote your codename like a LinkedIn endorsement, and strangers committing crimes in your name. You have everything. You have no one. You haven't held Lucia in years. She's 12 now. Marisol sends photos through a chain of 4 people, and you have a system. You look for exactly 11 seconds, memorize the new thing about her face, then delete it, because a photo of your daughter is the one piece of evidence that could get her hurt. You have become a man with a professional deletion policy for his own child. You have become a man who deletes his own kid to keep her alive. The reports stopped calling you sophisticated years ago. Out here they've upgraded you to genius, same lie, bigger word. You're still the forklift guy from Medley in the same New Balance, panicking well in nicer weather. You run one operation that proves it, and proves nothing. A whole family, a mother, 3 kids, a grandmother in a wheelchair that will not fold, trapped on the wrong side of a war. No papers, no time. You move all 5 across 2 continents in one night, borders folding in front of your planning like a Costco table. It's flawless, the best work of your life. When the mother calls to say they made it, she's crying too hard to talk, and you sit alone in a room over the harbor and feel nothing. Because the one family you can't move is the one you started all this for. Success stops working as a drug around here. You keep taking it anyway. Then, on a Tuesday, Marcus finds you. Not with a team. Not with cuffs he can't arrest you in Bar, and you both know it. He spent his pension and his last favor to fly across the world. Walks up to your table at the Harbor Cafe alone in a windbreaker 2 sizes too big now, and sits like a man who's earned the chair. Neither of you reaches for anything. There's nothing left to reach for. You pour him a drink. Syatt Mare's, of course. You started carrying it again out here, where the tell can't hurt you. You share the bottle in silence a while, 2 wrecked men watching the boats, and then he asks the only question either of you has left. Was it worth it? You don't answer. You look at the water. He nods like the silence was the answer he expected, and maybe it was. He sets down the glass. I gave them 40 years and a marriage to catch one man, he says. You gave up everything you had to see one little girl. Tell me again which one of us the system was built for. Then he stands, shakes your hand, and flies home to a house with nobody in it. That handshake is the last thing that ever happens to you as a man. Because after Marcus files his report after the one person on Earth who understands you tells Washington you can't be caught, only watch they do the thing bigger than most wanted. They stop treating you like a fugitive to arrest. They start treating you like a weather system to track. Your name comes off the poster. It goes onto a list with no photo, no expiration, and no way off. Level 9, the federal watchlist. You are not a man anymore. You're an entry. A code name in a box, no confirmed photo, 2 words beside it that follow you till you die. Believed alive. 3 governments track you and all 3 deny it. You can walk through any airport on Earth now because the version of you they're hunting is a rumor with better luck than a face. You have total freedom of movement. You will never stand still again. Every promotion up this list gave you more room and took away more home. The forgetful tourist could go anywhere and couldn't afford to. The watchlist ghost can afford anywhere and can never stop moving. You climbed 9 levels to arrive at a cage the size of the planet, and the gift shop only sells New Balance. And Marcus paid full price. Just like he promised that first day, sliding your receipt across the steel. He was right. Somebody paid full price for the thing you forgot to declare. It just turned out to be both of you. He lost the career, the marriage, the sleep, chasing a man he could never catch. You were never once caught, and you lost the only thing you ever ran for. 2 men, 9 years, full price each. Neither of you ever got a receipt. You do one last impossible thing. You go to see Lucia. She's 15 now. In a plaza in Lisbon, a city neither of you is supposed to be in, AirPods in, laughing at something on a cracked iPhone with 2 friends you'll never get to disapprove of. You sit at a cafe 40 feet away, coffee going cold, Marlin's cap pulled low, and you watch your daughter for 4 minutes. You don't wave. You don't stand. She has no idea the man in the corner is her father, or that her father is a code name now, or that he crossed an ocean and burned a whole life to buy 4 minutes of watching her not know he's there. She's taller than Marisol now. She laughs with her whole face. 9 years. You'd do every stupid, criminal, magnificent day of it again for this. You leave before she looks up. On the cafe table, you leave 2 things you don't need anymore: the last bottle of Sayat Mares you'll ever carry, empty now, and a photo worn soft as cloth. A woman and a 6-year-old squinting on an island, folded and unfolded 10,000 times. You retire them there in the sun. The one thing you could never declare at any counter in any country on any form was the only true thing you ever carried. And there was never a box on the card for it. Somewhere behind you, at a customs counter in a bright airport, a tired man with a sunburn is doing the man cry in line because he just left his kid on the wrong side of the paperwork. His uncle handed him a duffel at the gate: Crocs, socks, members-only jacket, just cigars, brother. Rums for the road. He didn't look inside. He never looks inside. The dog is already walking over. And Marcus, retired, alone, keeps the bottle he seized off that counter 9 years ago still full, on a shelf in a house with nobody in it. When they ask about the one that got away, he says the truest thing either of you ever said. They'll tell you I never caught him. They're wrong. I caught him a dozen times at a beach, in a breezeway, at a harbor in a town named Bar. I just never once stopped him from being a father. That was the only case that ever mattered, and I lost it every single day. If this story stayed with you, like and subscribe for more.